This is a general question. These days, there is a lot of talk about Vastu and numerology, etc. What will be your considered opinion?
See, when fear rules you, we can make a science out of anything. Just 10 years ago, you did not know anything about Vastu. People lived well, isn't it? Are you living any better than your father or your grandfather who did not know anything about this Vastu nonsense? How this works? Vastu is simple architectural guidance. When you lived in a village, when you had no architect, you don't know how to build a house, without knowing. See, putting a roof span has always been the major problem, till steel and other metal structures came and RCC came. How to put a roof and how to enlarge the span has always been a challenge, because the only thing that you could use was either stone or wood, it was limited. So you don't know, you just have a 5-foot long timber, so what you would do? You would build 5 feet wide house and 100 feet long. If you live in this tunnel, definitely you will become physically, mentally sick one day, isn't it so? So, for the rural folk, they created some simple architectural guidance which is different for different areas. If you're in the mountain, it's a different kind of Vastu, in the plains it's a different kind of Vastu, in different weathers and temperatures it's a different kind of Vastu. This was just a simple architectural guidance. Today, you have made it as if your life depends on it, as if your business runs on this. I'll tell you one incident. If somebody invites me to house, I'll just check out if they're good cooks. If they're good, I always go. I went to this house for lunch. It's a beautiful house. It's already about 8-9 years old. And inside the house there's a little garden. Everything is fine except that in the garden, there's one tall casuarina pole encrusted in concrete foundation, standing in the garden, an ugly pole in the middle of the garden. I looked at this and it was totally out of place. I asked this lady, why this casuarina pole? Because there's no construction going on or anything. Oh, she was so ashamed and she didn't want to speak to me, all that. I asked why, and then she said, no, it's a Vastu. I said, what happened? One day, one of our friends sent a Vastu man to our house. He landed up. Because the friend had sent, she opened the door. Man came and sat inside, walked up and down the house with great authority, looked like this, like that and said, see, in your house, the northwestern corner is taller than the southwestern corner. If it's like this, she has 2 sons. He said, one of your children will die. She said, nonsense, you go. He left his card and went away. He knows how it works. He went away, this lady said, all this nonsense, she said. But then, in the evening, her children came back from school, she looked at both of them. You know, if they slip, she thinks they're going to die. If he feels, don't want to eat dinner today, she thinks he's going to fall dead in the night. It just worked on her. In a week's time, she's going crazy thinking which one is going to die. Then she has the card, she called the man. Okay, you said this, what can we do about it? How much it costs? He said, 50,000 rupees. He said, no, I don't have that kind of money. Haggled and came down to 15,000 rupees. He said, okay, 15,000 rupees, come save my children. On an appointed day, the man came with a tall casuarina pole and planted this casuarina pole on the southwestern corner and showed her, see how the southwestern corner now is taller than the northwestern corner and your children will be okay. Okay, what is this? Tell me. Once you're in fear, you can just be used whichever way. I see a lot of people, they're sleeping in their toilets and cooking in their bedrooms. Yes? See, what I'm telling you is, even if you have to fall dead, at least fall dead with some dignity, being a human being, isn't it? Yes or no? Sleep in your bedroom and fall dead, it's okay. What's the point sleeping in the toilet and you living for 100 years? Live with some courage and dignity in your life, isn't it? Numerology, who created numbers? We created numbers, isn't it? Because you have 10 fingers, you said 0 to 9. If you had 12 fingers, it would be something else, isn't it so? Numbers were created by you, but today numbers are ruling your life. Way back, this is about 10 years ago, I am driving a Maruti car. And I am somebody who uses my car to the limit. Most of the time I drive my car at full blast. And in just about 2 years, I have done 1.4 lakh kilometers on the car. I've traveled all over the country. I've kept it well, but it's used to the limit, because most of the time I keep my car at full speed. So, when I want to sell, I thought it's past its age and I want to sell it, because I'm traveling long distance all the time. Somebody that we know, one of our meditators said, if you're selling that car, it's only to me, he said. I said, why? He said, no, I want that car. I said, why? He said, it's got a fantastic number. All that if I total it, it adds up into something, and that added number is my birthday, this, you know, some calculation. I said, number is okay, please drive the car and see if you like it. He said, no need to drive, that number is enough. My numerology guru has told me, that number is the best number for my life. Everything will happen if I have that car. I tried to put some sense into him, but he insisted. I said, it's okay, you find out what's the price. In the market, give me 10,000 rupees less, you take it. He decided to take it, and he said he'll pay 1 lakh. I said, okay. And he wants to take it on that particular day, 3rd day of the 3rd month at the 9th hour and something, you know. And he came with the money and he's supposed to take the car. He's brought 1 rupee less because he wants to give me 99999, whatever. Because he's brought this 1 rupee less, he's feeling so embarrassed, he's brought me a gift for 1500 rupees. I said, this was not needed, it's okay, 1 rupee is not my problem. But I wanted to finger him a little bit. I told him, see, the registration number, any moment we can change, with 1,000, 2,000 rupees we can change the number. Shouldn't you have checked the chassis and the engine number, whether it goes well with your birthday or not? The man again went into a fit. Then he immediately went and consulted his numerology guru. That numerology guru doesn't even know that chassis and engine has some number. He said, no, all those numbers no, this is the real number. Oh, and he came fully convinced, this is the real number, it doesn't matter. I said, okay, you take it, all the best for you. He took it. 3-4 weeks later, this is a car that I've used a lot, and literally at that time my travels were such, any number of nights I slept in the car, you know, the reclining seat. So he was you know, a man like this, I can understand how he will drive the car with how much fear. He was driving like this in Coimbatore city. This reclining thing, there's a little gear, it broke, and the backrest just went backwards. And he must have imagined all kinds of evil forces pulling him backwards and you know, he got so terrified. And I happened to meet him After 4 or 5 months, I asked him, how's the car doing? Are you okay? Are you happy? He said, no, I had to give it away because, something very bad happened. I said, what happened? You crashed the car or something? He said, no, like this, some evil forces, just pulled him backwards. And he brought another fantastic number car. Why can't you? Why we don't have the courage to drive that car out of the showroom, swinging it out on the street? Why? Because you're not depending on your capability, you're expecting the stars to run your life, isn't it? That's why the nation is like this. Till you take it into your hands, this is how it's going to be. It's time you took it into your hands. Why? Human nature is of a higher dimension, or numbers and stupid shapes and sizes, inanimate things in the world are of higher nature, you tell me, which is a higher possibility? And when you're alive as a human being, why are you letting stones and rocks and mud and earth rule your life? Human nature should decide the destiny of everything else, isn't it? But other things are deciding the destiny of human nature. It's a disgrace to humanity, really.
Whenever I am with you, I feel I am very comfortable. In case if I am placed thousands of kilometers away from you, how could I communicate with? Generally a master, how he is communicating with the disciple. All the time physical presence may or may not be possible.
Now, when you say, whenever I'm with you, I'm comfortable, I feel insulted. Because my whole life is about disturbing you, unsettling you from limited situations that you're trying to settle into. You're constantly trying to settle into some limitations. My work and my life is to disturb you from that limitation so that till you become unbounded, I don't want to let you settle down anywhere. Now if you're feeling comfortable, that's an insult. About how to communicate, you don't worry. You just keep yourself open. How to keep open also you do not know. Always, I'm not encouraging people to talk about anything which is not in their experience. I want you to stick to what is in your experience and see what's the next step. If you start talking about what is not in your experience, if I start talking about what is not in your experience, you have only two options. Either you have to believe me or disbelieve me, isn't it? Is there any other option? I think it's obscene to forcing you to believe me or forcing you to disbelieve me. It's not necessary. You just work with what you know and let's see what's the next step. If you want to go somewhere, this is the only way. If you want to go either to race course or to moon, you can only start your journey from the seat on which you're sitting right now. Is that so? Is that so? If you try to start your journey from somewhere else, you will hallucinate for the rest of your life and not get anywhere. Is that so? So, what is your reality right now? Only from there you can progress to the next and the next and the next. So don't talk about things which are not in your experience. Do not even aspire for that. Just see what's the next step you should take. Once you know how to take the next step, you will also know how to take the next one and the next one and the next one. This is the only way you will go somewhere. Because people have not realized this fundamental fact, humanity has remained stagnant for such a long time. Please see, scientists are telling you man has been on this planet for over 20 million years. In this 20 million years of living on this planet, it's a huge experience, isn't it? 20 million years of experience. Still you're getting angry like how the caveman was getting angry, isn't it so? Are you getting angry in some other high-tech way? You're still getting angry the same way, isn't it? 20 million years of experience, a simple emotion like anger, we still don't have a solution, simply because we are unwilling to admit where we are. We are always thinking we are up there. See, now you know where God is, you know His address, isn't it? Yes? You know His name, you know His address, you know His wife's name, you know His children's name, you know when is His birthday, You know everything, but you don't know where you are. That's the whole problem. Somebody who is incapable of knowing where he is he capable of knowing where the Creator is? Is there a possibility? Is there such a possibility? So somewhere we get into the game of deception. Once you get into deception, there's no limit to it. It can go on and on and on in a million different ways. This is passing off as religion, unfortunately. Religion means it's the highest intelligence. To live and survive in this dimension of life, you need intelligence, isn't it? If you want to transcend to other dimensions of life, don't you need even more intelligence? Yes? Yes or no? But the most idiotic ones in the world are claiming to be religious, isn't it? See, if I just create a situation, this is how spirituality is passing off most of the time, in India and everywhere. Just tell you, just look at the bulb, there you can see, can you see Shiva? See, he's there. I'll tell you, the most idiotic ones in this hall will see Shiva first, others will be wondering, what is it? The fools will see it first, isn't it so? Because they have no control over their imaginations. They don't know which is their imagination and which is not. They will start seeing everything. They'll see angels and gods and everything first. But the intelligent ones are always wondering what the hell is happening, isn't it? Isn't it so? Unfortunately, this is passing off as religion and spirituality. This is why no right-thinking person wants to come anywhere near anything spiritual, because it's become such a disgusting presentation.
Sadhguru, you mentioned the school. What is your vision in using education to produce an ideal human being? How do you balance an international standard of education along with spiritual values?
So the school that we're talking about right now, there is going to be no spirituality. No spirituality at all. We don't want to bring spirituality into a child's life. We will teach them some simple forms of yoga for mental and physical health, that's different. But no spirituality will be brought to them as a part of education, never. Because spirituality should not be brought about like that. Maybe after they finish their education, if they want to go through a stint of 3 months or 6 months of spiritual training, they can, that's by choice. That anybody can go through. But the children who… because the premise is also we will move it out, only 1 or 2 years it'll be in the ashram, after that we will move it out close by. Already we're making necessary arrangements for that. So the school will not try to teach any spirituality. At the same time, we just want to cultivate a certain openness in the human being. See, somebody turns successfully spiritual because he has developed a certain openness about life. He has no conclusions about anything, he is willing to look at everything. This is something we will cultivate in the child. That the child learns to look at every aspect of life with absolute openness, without prejudice, without any religious, cultural or any kind of inclinations, with absolute openness to every aspect of life. If that happens, whether you talk spirituality to him or you don't, he will anyway turn spiritual. Spirituality will be a natural part of his life, not something that he pursues going to an ashram or someplace. It'll be just a natural part of his life because he has developed an openness to every aspect of life. And actually, education was supposed to be that right from the beginning. The very purpose of educating people is to broaden their horizons, isn't it? But you tell me, as people are getting educated, are they broadening their horizons or are they becoming very narrow? See, just let's say 50 years ago, in India there still are such families, but everywhere in the world, people lived in large families. In India, 300, 400 people lived in one house, huge families. There was no big problem, you know. They knew how to adjust with each other and go on, because 400 people living in one place is a challenge. That's what the ashram is. Now we are back into that old system of being one large family, and this is even more challenging because there are different types of people from different cultures, different languages, different attitudes, different likes and dislikes, but living together without friction needs enormous maturity and a very broad way of looking at life, otherwise you cannot. But just see now, as modern education came, slowly we can't even live with our own parents anymore. We just thought husband, wife, children, this is family. But now in the last 15–20 years, even that is going away. Family means just you. Your husband has to live in a separate house, you in a separate house. Together you won't last 10 days. Children have to be there separately. Somewhere else they must be. In one place, even 2–3 people cannot live together, isn't it? This is what education has done to you. It has not broadened your horizons. It somewhere made you so narrow and individualistic. You're no more inclusive, you're becoming very exclusive, isn't it? The inclusion is totally gone. The whole idea of educating a person is that he is just living in a narrow sphere of life. You educate him, make him know about the whole world and broaden his whole perspective of life. Education means inclusion, isn't it? But the kind of education we are imparting to the children, it is making them so highly exclusive, they can't even stand one more person in their life. See, most people have gotten themselves into a situation, they can't live with anybody anymore, isn't it? So, that is not just individual, it is it's the phenomena of the world, it's a generational phenomena because of the kind of education that's being imparted. So we want to impart an education which is highly inclusive, that as you grow, you include the whole world as yourself and live, and that's spirituality. So spirituality will not be taught. Education itself is spirituality, because education is about broadening your horizons, not about talking about God or some nonsense. So, we want children to grow up keeping their intelligence intact, not suppressive education, where the child's thirst to know is kindled, but he is not forced to learn. So, the longing to know, the longing to learn has to be brushed up within the child, not just feeding with enormous amount of information and expecting him to pass. This will not be like that. This will be a very different type of structure. At the same time, by the time they are 16, 17, we will prepare them for any university in the world, they will be ready to go. They will be ready enough to get into any kind of university according to their individual capabilities, of course. But apart from that, they're fundamentally learning to live better. They're learning to handle themselves better and live better with themselves and with people around them, which is a very important factor. And people are successful in their life not because they have degrees, not because they have university certificates, it's because they're capable, isn't it? So, this school will be more capability oriented, not qualification oriented.